Killing close to 400 victims, Luis Alfredo Garavito from Genova, Colombia, is dubbed as one of the worst serial killers the world has ever known. Otherwise known as La Bestia, or the Beast, Garavito is known to have raped, tortured, and murdered children and teenagers between the ages of 6 and 16 years old beginning in 1992. Born in 1957 to a dysfunctional and abusive household, he left home at the age of 16 and supported himself by working odd jobs all around. But apparently, something inside him snapped when he was 35 years old. Because of the Civil War, the number of homeless people, beggars, and orphaned children skyrocketed in the early 90s. Garavito then targeted these specific groups to find his victims. He would often disguise himself as an authority figure or someone trustworthy. He would dress as a priest, a homeless man, a farmer, a drug dealer, and a street vendor, often giving gifts, candy, or offering victims the possibility of a job. Once he had won their trust of the child over, he would then lure them for a walk until they got tired, and that's when he would strike. It was then that he would bound their hands, remove all their clothes, and proceed to rape and torture them. He was absolutely brutal in his crimes. Post-mortem of the victims showed that all of them were raped and tortured. He said that sometimes he kept the boys alive for days, slowly killing them. 3 bodies recovered showed signs of broken bones and missing teeth. There were also bite marks, multiple bruises, and severed genitals. All the beatings occurred while the victim was alive. It was only after the rape and torture that he would kill them off. The murder weapon was usually found in the same area as the victims, and in several instances he used a dull knife to slit his victims' throats. Afterwards, he would bury the bodies. He was so meticulous and cognizant of where he buried them that after his arrest he was able to draw a detailed map for the police. Garavito's reign of terror ended in 1998 when 2 bodies of young children were discovered. The next day, a 3rd child's body was also found in the same area. Although police had already suspected a mass killer was on the loose, they had no way of knowing who it was specifically. During the search of the crime scene, police found a note with an address which led them to Garavito's girlfriend. She informed police she hadn't seen him in months but turned over a pack of items he left behind at her house. Cops took the bag and discovered detailed journals of the murders, his tally for the number of victims, various pictures of young boys, and bills. These bills led to Garavito's current residence, but the place was empty and they believed he was out traveling. Just days later, however, local police arrested Garavito after he was caught in the act of trying to rape a young man. Cops weren't sure he was the serial killer they were looking for, but speculated that he was. When pressed during interrogation and presented with evidence, Garavito admitted that he was the Beast. Colombia's justice system didn't want to rely on just his confession and needed solid, irrefutable evidence. DNA was obtained which definitively linked Garavito to the 3 child victims. With no way out now, he then confessed to killing 140 children and was charged with 172 murders altogether. He's been found guilty for 138 of these cases, while the rest are ongoing. In the end, Luis Garavito was sentenced to 1,853 years and 9 days in prison, but with the Colombian justice system, even the worst offenders can only serve a maximum of 40 years in prison. The country doesn't have a life sentence or the death penalty, and at this rate it's estimated he will be released to the public by 2021 at the age of 64. For now, the brutal killer and rapist is kept incarcerated. He's made an arrangement with police that in return for his cooperation in helping to find the rest of the victims, he's to be kept separately from the general prison population. He fears that the moment he's mixed in with the other prisoners, he will be murdered by another inmate.